Hi, welcome to another edition on Dynamo tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll be using Revit 2023 and we will start the Dynamo by clicking on Manage and click here on the Dynamo. So the 2023 Dynamo is slightly different, especially the user interface, but the functionality of Dynamo remains the same, irrespective of the previous versions of Dynamo and Revit, like 2020, 21, and 22. Right. So when you start your Dynamo, you get a window which looks like another interface or another program which is running inside the Revit, and this Dynamo can access the Revit database. That means if you have say, any building elements drawn, any objects drawn, you can programmatically change them, manipulate them, and work with them. So in this simple Dynamo tutorial, we are going to create a new Dynamo script. This is called Dynamo script. And I'm going to make this window maximum so that it becomes easy for me to show you what I mean by a Dynamo script. A Dynamo script consists of nodes and wires. We have input nodes, output nodes, and also we have some logic which is connecting with wires. And on the left hand side, you have all the nodes which you can get it. For example, if I click on the geometry node and if I click on the solids, you can see here I can create cone, cuboid, cylinder, solid, or sphere. You know, these are the three-dimensional solids, or I can create meshes and so on and so forth. So, since it becomes quite difficult to search here, if I want to go and find, I can also click here at the top and search for my own node which I want to insert. Let's say, for example, point by coordinate. So if I click on that, XYZ, then I get this vector by coordinate, or let's say point by coordinate. You can see these two are different ones. This is a vector which shows the direction and length, whereas point by coordinate will just create a point. So if I delete this and then I can choose here and give some values to this. By default, the value is 0. So that's why it created a point at 0, 0, 0. So if I want to create another uh, another node and connect it to this node, we can use a number slider. So I can type here number, or another way is right click on the white space here and type there the search number. So you can see here if I click here, if I go here and search a number number, so we have a number slider here. So this number slider allows me to input certain numbers into my code. This is a Dynamo, or this is a Dynamo script or a Dynamo code, which is using this kind of nodes and wires. So I can connect my wire like that. So if I now move this slider, you can see my point is moving there along the x-axis. So I can make a couple of them, copy, Control C and Control V. So I can put one below the other like that, and then I can feed this value to Y and then feed this value to Z, and you can notice my point starts moving up in the space. So I can change the value here to 0, so it is lying on the ground. So this will be my Z axis because I'm feeding this output of this number slider into the input of my point by coordinate, right? So if I select the same one, Control C, Control V, and copy here. So I have now 2 points, but for this, I want another Z value. That means I want to put Z different. So I'm going to Control C and Control V. So I'm going to click here and then I'm going to connect Z to this. So the X, Y for both the points are the same, which is we can even type in here. Let's say we type 10, and then this one X and Y are 10 by 10. So now my point will be 10 units. So if I count here, this is 10 units in the X and 10 units in the y, and this one is on 0, right? So now here for the second point is also x unit is 10, y unit is 10, and unit is currently 0. But if I give a value, let's say I give about 20, right? So now you see there are 2 points. The first point is 10 comma 10 comma 0. Then the second point, which is this one, is 10 comma 10 comma 20, because the z value is 20. So this is how you create geometry. I'm just trying to show a very simple example here of how to create, for example, a line. So if I want to create a line between these two, so we can right click here and try line, and then you can say by start point and end point. So I click on that. So now I get another node. This node is called line dot by start point end point. Means what? It requires two input. One is the starting point, which is this one, let's say, then the end point, which is that one. So now I'm going to connect the starting point to this point to the start point, and this point to the end point. And now I have a line. And if I now move my cursor, you can see my line will go left and right, or if I want to change the direction, it will go like that. And you can see here I can change the direction, and it is very dynamic. So this is where the dynamo plays a part for us to design, to try out certain things before we fix what we want to do. And we can even automate many things by using this scripting language, which we will learn in a greater detail. I think I will stop this small demo so that it gives you a feel of what is Dynamo, which consists of nodes. These are called nodes, and the number, each node has a name, which you can change it. So I can change here this node as X, right? And then this node as accept, this node as Y, and then accept, then this node as Z, for example, or Z1, because we have two Z's here. So this one I can change it as Z2, something like that. And then point by coordinate, you can keep it as it is, or even line, or you can change the name here. It's up to you whether you want to change the name or keep it there. And also for each of the nodes, when I bring my cursor onto the node, it gives me some hints on what is the original node name if I've changed it. For example, if I come here, it says the original node name was number slider, and it has been changed to X, right? And also when I come here, and if I look at the line command here at the bottom here, there is a value here. You see it says line start point and end points. That means it has created a line, right? I can lock it, or I can pin it by clicking on this push pin, sorry. I can click on this push pin here, and that shows me the value it has created. Then the last point is, whenever I change any value, you see my geometry is changing because of the values I have changed here. But if I have very complex geometry, every time I change something, this geometry had to be redrawn or regenerated on the fly. So the computer will take quite some time. So in order to overcome that, I can click here and convert my um, run from automatic to manual. Means what? Every time I make a change, let's say I make a change here, make a change here, make a change there, nothing happens to my geometry. I have to click on the run, and then I will see the change happening to my geometry. So this is a very good method for not running the running the code every time you make a change to the code, whether it is the logic. Logic means how you connect all these cables together, or even the code itself by the nodes and the different nodes you use, and the different types of variables you can put in here, whether this is a line. And also these have numbers like 0 to 100 and an increment of 1, but you can change it and so on and so forth. Right. So I think let's stop this one, and when we go to the class, we will be doing more complicated examination. and examine how we can create, let's say, for example, automatic auditorium seating. So you are doing an auditorium for 200 people or 500 people, and you have a particular way to design. So you have a particular furniture, auditorium seating furniture, how you can put them in a very fast and efficient way using Dynamo. All right, thank you very much, and I stop now here.